This show is brought to you in part by viewers like you who joined a Patreon or become YouTube members. Thank you. And if you could, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
All right, we're 4 weeks into the season, and what that means is that we're ready to give out our first report card or progress report, depending on what they called them when you were growing up. But a look at what grades we're going to be giving some key units to the Cleveland Browns. The way I'll be doing this is I'll have 5 areas where I'll put grades out: offense, defense, special teams, coaching, and the coach, Kevin Stefanski, and then Andrew Berry will get a grade as well for what they've done or what it looks like their work has done throughout the first 4 weeks. Much like a progress report, this is just a snapshot of where the Browns are right now and should not be confused with what I think the Browns should do at the end of the season. But this is just being honest about where the team is. First thing we're going to start with is giving a grade to the offense. And the offense, it's very tempting to give them an F- because this offense has been awful. But let's actually walk through the elements of the offense, what they're dealing with, what they have done good, what they haven't. So if we're looking at what the offense has not done good, the passing game has not been productive as far as points go. Yardage, it's been okay, but points, it's not been great. Some of that has to do with some of the issues that they've been having on special teams. Some of this absolutely has to do with the offense's ability to execute. You name a problem an offense can have, the Cleveland Browns offense this year has it. Wide receivers not catching the ball, tight ends not catching the ball, quarterbacks not being very good. The run game was pretty bad to start the year as well. The Browns have every issue you can ask for on the offense. Offensive line problems are a big issue too with this team. One of the biggest issues with this team, getting league bottom play from one of their tackles in particular. So this offense has not looked great. It has not been great. They're not going to get a passing grade here. The only thing keeping them from an F is the emergence of some of the rookies, right? Harold Faden, who I thought had a rough week this week, has been pretty useful. And I think at times you can see the productivity of Cedric Tillman popping through. Like the Cincinnati game is an example of when he can be more productive. And then obviously Quincy Judkins looking like a feature back already super early into his career. Those bright spots were enough for me not to give the offense a F, but it's going to be a very close D-. It's not been good. I think there is some opportunity to grow here, and I think there's some reason for a little bit of optimism. When you look at who's shining and how young most offense is outside the quarterback position, and that's probably changing sooner than later. But still, the results are just god awful, and honestly, I'm not going to be mad at people if they want to give the offense an F. I mean, the results alone justify it. I just think there's a little bit of a silver lining here that makes me go with barely above an F here with the D-. Defense, I think the defensive grade is going to be pretty fairly obvious here, right? They're going to get an A. Now, I'm going to explain why the defense is going to get an A. Before I do, I thank my sponsor, Sleeper. Hey, have you ever heard of the Sleeper app? Well, here's a fun secret. It's not just for fantasy leagues. It's great for fantasy leagues. I personally have used it for years with my college friends to play fantasy football and to do pick'em leagues, all sorts of fun stuff like that. But the Sleeper app also gives you news. It gives you scores. You can also try to turn your football knowledge into real money. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players with more stats than any other daily fantasy app. Just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from pregame or live. Pick more or less from the predicted stats, and you could win up to 100 times your money if your picks win. Use promo code WORSTTAKE, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Again, promo code WORSTTAKE. You'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Links are in the description. So the defense is going to get an A. I don't think this is a surprise to literally anybody who's watched this team. The defense has been fantastic, right? The offense has bled points that have led into the defense's point total. If you're just looking at this from a box score, you might not think the Browns defense has been great, but like 50% of the points that the Browns have given up, you can reasonably blame on the offense and the torrent of turnovers that have come with the Cleveland Browns offense, specifically at the quarterback position with Joe Flacco. So, yeah, the defense has dealt with the circumstances that they've been dealing with as good as anybody could ask for them. I think that Carson Schlesinger is a legitimate defensive rookie of the year candidate. I think that Mason Graham has looked as good as you can ask a young defensive tackle to look at this point in his career. I think that Myles Garrett has been excellent to start the season, that your corners have held up better than we've expected them to hold up, quite frankly. Every level of this defense, even like safety, I think Ronnie Hickman's been making plays, right? Devin Bush, he deserves to be mentioned. Malik Collins has been really good, right? You have had a lot of guys stepping up and making big-time plays on defense all year. It's the polar opposite of the Browns offense. This defense, if they have a good enough offense, can carry a team to a lot. Unfortunately, the offense isn't good. We'll talk about the special teams in just a minute, but there's no other grade I could give this defense other than an A. They're doing as good as they can given the circumstances, and honest to God, the circumstances they're dealing with are some of the worst in the NFL, and they're still putting up mind-boggling numbers despite the fact that their offense and special teams keeps betraying them every week. It's actually fascinating stuff here from the Browns defense. All right, let's get to that special teams grade. And unlike with the offense, where you got Quincy Judkins there, and that gives me some hope that this is going to get better, and you make some moves on the offense, and you're going to improve the offensive line, hopefully, and maybe the quarterback change is what the offense needs. There's some silver lining there with the offense. There's really no silver lining here with special teams. I mean, not a single decision made here feels great outside of like Andre Schmidt, who did make that game-winning field goal to beat you, to win you that the Packers game, but he also missed the game-winning field goal to win you the Cincinnati game. So mixed bag there with Andre Schmidt, but I think we're past the point of being mad at him about all of that. It's really just like the kick and punt coverage units that have been bothering me. It's been bad all year. I know it came to a head this week versus Detroit, where they actually gave up a touchdown off a punt return, but the problems had existed before that, right? Like, they had been pretty bad at kick coverage and punt coverage. I think the reason most people don't notice how bad the Browns have been at kick coverage is because they haven't scored enough to be kicking the ball off a ton. But I think if they had been scoring more, we would notice this a lot more. Then you flip it to the other side of the special teams coin, which is the return game. It's been bad for a team that keeps rostering dedicated punt returners and kick returners. We are so bad at it. Like, we keep rostering people just to do the one thing. And punt returning and kick returning remains one of the things we can't do at a proficient level. You know me. I'm not a big fan of like trying to maximize every return and risking turning the ball over on special teams. But dude, if you're going to roster somebody every year to return these kicks, can you roster somebody who's going to do something with the football? Guy after guy, year after year, they keep rostering these people to be specialized returners, and it nets nothing. DeAndre Carter, nothing much there, right? Not even really helpful on the offense. Really don't see a purpose of him out there. I know people are excited about Gage Larvin. Maybe you could throw him out there, but like, how much different is Gage Larvin or Isaiah Bond right now at returning than just like a regular average person doing it? Not like a person like me, but like a regular average NFL player doing it. Like, I don't get it. I don't get why we keep having people there. We brought in Kadarius Toney last year to do this shit. Like, I don't understand it. We keep trying to make this kick return thing happen, and then we just aren't capable of doing it. You know, we don't have the proficiency in blocking with these kickers. We just are a bad special teams unit. Kicking, punting is fine, right? The specialist stuff is fine. It's really the return and coverage units that bother me in the special teams, and there's no silver lining there. This is a F tier special teams unit, man. I hate to say it, but gotta drop the bomb here and give them the F tier. So those are the grades for the offense, defense, and special teams. Let me get to the head coach and GM here. So head coach is up first. Kevin Stefanski's grade is going to be a D. Yes, I understand that Kevin is dealing with a level of circumstance here that's going to make it difficult for any offensive coordinator or head coach to look great in these circumstances. I am willing to consider that. I have considered that, and that's why Kevin's not at a F. But a D, I think it's fair. I think we all thought that Kevin was going to provide more of a floor to this offense than what we're seeing right now. All the decisions that they have made was to make the run game better, was to, give the passing offense a floor, and we haven't seen literally any of that other than the run game getting a floor, which feels like it's more about Quinshawn, and even the coaching staff thinks it's more about Quinshawn, because if you look at the rushing splits, they're literally only running Quinshawn right now. So yeah, it's like the run game finally got a floor, but it feels like that floor exists because Quinshawn has a floor. The passing game, it doesn't feel like there's a floor there. And I understand Corn Lucas stinks. The offensive line stinks. The wide receivers are dropping passes. It's not just one thing, but Kevin was supposed to provide a floor. They are failing at that task. The reason he's not at an F is because I don't think any coach can anticipate for your starting tackle to give up 28 pressures in 4 weeks. I don't think any coach can really anticipate for Joe Flacco degrading this much over the course of 4 weeks here. So he gets a D. We'll see where he's at the end of the season. I anticipate that he'll have this thing looking a lot better by the end of the season. But as far as right now, for just grading on the first 4 weeks, he gets a D, and he's lucky to just have a D right now. Andrew Berry. Let's look at Andrew Berry here, right? So the draft class alone is going to give him a positive grade. Harold Fanon has sparked his potential. Mason Graham, Carson Schlesinger, Quinshawn Judkins, so many young players that are playing their way into key roles on this team. Undrafted guys like Aiden Huntington and Ronnie Hickman playing significant roles on this team. The player development stuff has been a real positive for Andrew Berry in a year where people were really questioning if this is going to be something that he's able to do. The reason Andrew is going to get a B here and not an A is because the offensive line is a disaster, right? If the offensive line was not a disaster, I would have no problem giving Andrew Berry an A. But the offensive line is just too much of a disaster to sit here and be like, Andrew Berry's done everything perfect, right? The offensive line clearly was not done well. Over-reliance on consistently injured tackles has bit them in the ass year in and year out. This is like the second year in a row specifically relying on Jack Conklin and DeJuan Jones has bit this team in the ass. You expect Andrew Berry to see that coming and be more prepared. Whatever, like, I don't know how much I'm going to blame Andrew Berry for how bad Cornelius Lucas looks, because he did not look that bad on tape when you watched him in Washington, and there was no indication that this big of a fall off was coming for him. And I'm halfway convinced that Cornelius Lucas has to be playing with some level of injury, because it makes no sense for him to look this bad over the last 4 weeks. But the situation still remains that, Corn Lucas gave up, 19 pressures in 2.5 games. and week 4 comes around and we got no better option than putting Cornelius Lucas out there, that's kind of on the GM, right? You know, a player being bad is one thing, but us having to stick with that player as long as we have, well, then that becomes on Andrew Berry. The state of the offensive line, I'm not very satisfied with it. That's on Andrew Berry. Overall, you look at everything else he's done, the Myles Garrett extension, Malik Collins signing, right? Like, there's a lot of really good shit happening here with what Andrew has brought in, but there is one glaring hole here, and then that also seems to be the hole that is kind of like screwing up the whole offense here, which is the offensive line, which is why I think I would give Andrew Berry just a flat B, not a B plus, just a regular B here, right? Because that offensive line does have to be addressed and does have to be fixed to a certain level in order for me to feel comfortable about the job that he's done, because this is just, the line has been a point of concern amongst the Browns online community for a while. On this channel, we've talked about it, and it's gotten to a point again where it's dire, and part of that's because we're relying on Jack Conklin and DeJuan Jones and acting like they're going to be healthy this year when, you know, these guys have had issues with health every year of their career, it seems like. So those are my grades. D- for the offense, A for the defense, a F for special teams, a D for Kevin Stefanski, and a B for Andrew Berry. Let me know your grades in the comment section below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.